You're listening to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. I'm your host, Steph. It is Friday, March 14th. Joining me, as always, on an off-season Friday is my guy, Wayne Breezy. Wayne, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm hanging in there. You know, this is it's a different type of off season for us, and I'm just here for the ride, man. Let's just go. Let's just go.
Wayne, we were just talking about snooze fest in talking about film. Well, the 49ers free agency has been a bit of a snooze fest as well. Can't say that we're so surprised about some of the players that the 49ers have lost, and we'll go through them here. You know, they've lost more than they've gained, right? But I think we expected this. Definitely most of these guys were guys that we were expecting to leave. I think The only one we didn't really was Dre Greenlaw. Like, I think we were very hopeful still that he would remain on the team. And then we got a couple of maybe a surprise to some releases, right? Kyle Juszczyk, Leonard Floyd, and Tabor Pepper. I mean, I know he's just the long snapper, but I wasn't expecting that move either. So I think anyone is on the table. Like, anyone can get it as far as releases go. And, you know, it seems like no one is safe from, the changes that the 49ers are wanting to make, except maybe Nick Bosa and George Kittle. I saw that this morning that, it's a hard resounding no for anyone that is maybe interested in trading for those guys. But I mean, what's your thoughts, Wayne, on like their moves so far? It's been different, like you said, right?
Definitely different, right? Something we're not used to. Usually we do make a splash. Like, we get somebody in here that, we can hang our hope hats on. You know what I'm saying? And so not getting one player that can come in here and help change things around and build, it kind of makes things a little different. Just going back to some of the things that were said from John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, you said that no one is safe. I've gone on and said that we have about 7 players that may be pillars, maybe even 6 now that we just signed, Mac Jones as quarterback. So I don't know who's safe, but you talked about George Kittle. If they extend him, I don't think George Kittle is going to want to play on the last year of his deal with no guarantees. And is that something that the 49ers are going to do with an older player, extending him money? He's still the best player in football at his position. Like, that's going to get interesting. If we think that the drama is all around Brock Purdy in this quarterback contract situation, wrong. Like, there's just drama, period. And so, Fred Warner probably is safe. Nick Bosa, you talked about him. I had Brock Purdy in there. I would say Demo is safe because they gave him the extension. And so I think the key to what we need to focus on is we've upgraded coaching, coordinating. That's back. Yeah. And so now those guys were probably doing what we're doing, started watching film and was like, nah, this guy got to go. Nah, this ain't gonna work. Nah. Like a bunch of nahs, right? And so we're reshaping, and now we just got to kind of sit back and just go for the ride, man. Look, I'm very optimistic, but I can't even tell you what in the hell we're doing. And if I had to give it a grade, it's probably an F to D minus area.
It's incomplete.
Yeah, incomplete. I don't do incomplete. So you get a D. You want this to come up, you get it up.
No.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that as well. It's been, somewhat uninspiring, but I think what you said is right about, you got new coaches in here, you got Robert Saleh back, Brant Boyer, special teams coach, and the moves that they've made, I think a good chunk of them are reflective of that new coaching coming in and saying, nah, like you said, right? Like they released a lot of people on the defensive line. They've let a lot of those guys go. And so obviously Robert Saleh wants to bring in some new blood for that defensive line. The thing that I'm a little confused about right now is that we just haven't seen any of the moves to address all the holes that they've created on the defensive line, right? And so, maybe they're going to address that completely in the draft. Like, man, at this point, I need all 11 picks to be defensive line. Like this, that's what just needs to happen because
like.
they're not addressing it in free agency. And, not to say that they won't, but the names that are available that are left, it's like it's not really going to move the needle for anybody. And then on the other hand, you also see moves for special teams, right? Like we talked about Tabor Pepper let go. They brought in John Weeks, who is much like he looks like somebody's uncle, maybe someone's grandpa. I like for all this talk about they want to get younger, man, they really got older at long snapper. But if he's good, like that's fine. I know he spent like what 10, 15 seasons with
the Falcons.
It was the Texans. So
Texans, yeah.
I mean, a team keeps you that long, you're obviously doing something right. And
but why get rid of him now?
Who? Tabor?
No, the Texans. Like if you kept him so long, and he was so
he's
good.
Old.
Yeah. That's
Bro's
why
like 40.
Right. He's 39. So they got rid of him because of age. Was he declining? And then if so, why the hell did we pick up a 39?
Do you really decline as a long snapper though? Like that doesn't
Listen,
really
man,
require.
You getting pushed on. Your head's getting mushed into the dirt, into the gravel, the ground, whatever. Listen, you need a strong neck to be alone. I mean, he looks good. He looks like he could fit the part very well. I don't know Brent Boyer and what he's looking for, but I guarantee you, I don't know what Tabor Pepper did wrong, but he looked at the film and said, nah. Like, that's just basically what it was.
I do remember some people watching some of the snaps and wondering if maybe that was why, Moody was missing some kicks. Like, were you on that train, Wayne?
I wasn't on the train, but something wasn't right. Like, something was off, and I didn't blame Tabor. I was more blaming the placeholder. Like, I felt like without Mitch Wisnowski out there, the ball was held funny or something. Like, it just seemed weird. So that it's a bunch of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a couple more moves on special teams, like new kicker, new punter. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, at this point, it's Brent Boyer's baby. And the good news about that is, Steph, if special teams doesn't improve, now we really can blame the special teams coordinator.
I mean, we could have always, or do we blame Kyle?
Schneider never really got his guys. He inherited guys.
True. I mean, last year, I felt like they tried to address special teams with like free agent acquisitions.
They did.
And it just didn't work out.
True. That's true.
Which again, like maybe that's how you blame the special teams coordinator, because it's like, look, we got you guys. We got you special teams aces, and you guys still sucked. So that seems to be a you problem. But yeah, definitely some of their free agent moves, like Jason Pinnock, Luke Gifford, guys who can help out with special teams and be depth pieces. Wayne, the most important, or not most important, but like the most interesting addition so far has been Mac Jones. And, all of these moves the 49ers have made has addressed backups, right?
Yeah.
But QB2 is like, pretty notable. And for that guy to be Mac Jones now, I think is notable because we know the history that Kyle Shanahan and Mac Jones had. I think Kyle most definitely wanted to get him at 3, was maybe bullied out of it. And now he's got his guy. And look, I speculated that this could be a hedge towards the Brock Purdy negotiations. You were talking earlier about like, hey, they're being tough on negotiations. You mentioned Kittle, right? Like Kittle might be getting an extension this season, but they might play hardball there. I expect they'll play hardball with Brock Purdy, and bringing in Mac Jones kind of allows them the flexibility to be tough on negotiations. Like, it does. I'm not saying that Mac Jones is going to supplant Brock Purdy and beat him in a competition. I am saying that if Brock Purdy holds out and Mac Jones is your only quarterback, they would be more than happy to start Mac Jones. That's my belief.
That's the high five moment right there. I was talking yesterday and I was like, dang, remember my theory on the backup quarterback. Go vet. If you go vet, you're all in on Brock. If you don't go vet, it leaves this gate open of controversy to where you're like, oh man. And then you go with a quarterback that you wanted. And then, like, it's the same thing with Sam Darnold. It's Sam Darnold all over again. Now, when Sam Darnold came in, he was competing for quarterback 2. Guess what? There's no quarterback 3. This is Tanner Mordecai. Yeah. My point is, the Niners are ready. They're prepared to take Mac Jones to help them get to the promised land if Brock plays the hardball game. And this could potentially be the drama that the 49ers create every single freaking offseason. This is drama generated by the San Francisco 49ers. I love my team. I love this organization. But, man, they're creating this stuff. Like, at the end of the day. They could have just went and got freaking Jameis Winston or one of these old farts.
Which Jameis Winston was in the conversation, of course. Like, we saw those reports. They were interested in him as well. But yeah, you go with the younger dude, someone who could be a reclamation, like Sam Darnold. But like you said, the difference between Sam Darnold and I think Mac Jones, yes, he's going to be the unquestioned QB2, but like we expect, Brock, he has that potential to be someone who can fill in just in case the unlikely happens. And also, Sam Darnold signed a 1-year deal. I mean, you got a 2-year deal for Mac Jones.
Guarantees, too.
And there's some guarantees, yeah.
Yeah, the $5 million guaranteed, and you can earn up to $11.5 million. This is like Mac Jones saying, "Lord, get me on this field," right? Like, and so and again, apparently he turned down, I think, other offers that might have been more money to come to San Francisco. Now, the only thing different is there's no Greasy, so now it's going to come down to him and Mr. Mick Lombardi, right? And so that's the difference. But you know what? I'm here again. I'm here for the ride, Steph. I'm here for the ride, Steph. I don't know what you want me to say. Like,
what else? What else can we do but then like be on the ride? Like we have no choice but to keep it moving, even if we don't agree with all of these moves. And you mentioned Mick, now 49ers quarterback coach. He was on the Patriots coaching staff, for Mac Jones' time there. So. There's some familiarity there. Ty in the comments says, there ain't no drama. Y'all capping right now. Well, let me say this. I'll just say I've been following this team for a long time. I've heard things. And Wayne said this, they create this stuff. Like, they make these moves. They didn't have to get Mac Jones. They knew how this would get perceived. I mean,
that's it.
Yeah, it's all like self-inflicted. I think they kind of like the drama of it all.
I think so too. I think they feed off of it. I think they get stronger at some point.
They get stronger, yeah. And yeah, like nothing surprises me about how this team moves. So yeah, maybe we're making it a little more dramatic than it is, but like you gotta admit that this is interesting to say the least. And yeah, like if Brock signs his deal, then this is a nothing burger. But if he holds out, like we're saying, it's a very real possibility.
Get used to seeing some Mac Jones. Matter of fact, I got a clip that I happened to be watching. I did my Mac Jones Patreon video, and I put a clip on YouTube of one of his touchdowns he threw against the Tennessee Titans. It was one of the best touchdown throws I've ever seen. It was a fade route to the end zone. It was to Brian Thomas Jr. And I mean, the thing that sparked me was the flex before the touchdown. Like, he knew it was going to be a touchdown. Like, he knew the defense that they were set. He saw the blitz. He went like this, bring it on. And the blitz came. He looked at the blitz in the face, lofted the ball, touchdown Brian Thomas Jr. I'm like, oh, damn, we struggle with red zone touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like the mechanics are there. Is the maturity there? And I think coming to San Francisco, being under the right tutelage, I think you're going to see him blossom. And, to talk about Sam Darnold, Steph, watching his presser as the new quarterback for the Seahawks and hearing him say, the best thing he did was like coming out to San Francisco and learning under Brock Purdy. I mean, that tells you the impact of Brock. Brock got him prepared how to be a point guard. I don't know if you got a chance to hear that. He was like, Brock was like, yo, Brock said to him, yo, you got all these playmakers. Just get the ball to them. Let them do their thing. You don't got to be the guy. And he said that's what helped him in Minnesota. I've got Justin Jefferson. I've got Jordan Addison. I've got Aaron Jones. Let me just get them the ball. And so shout out to Sam for bigging up Brock, because let me be clear. I want Brock to be the guy. I think the 49ers pay Brock. I don't know when they're going to pay Brock. And that's the big question.
Or how much they're going to pay him, I think.
I don't even care about the money anymore at this point. We need a quarterback, lock him in, and figure it out. Like, at this point. Like, I don't think the money, to me, the money doesn't even matter. I mean, it's hard to defend on what Brock's worth is when, and let's have a quick conversation. One of the best quarterbacks in the league, Josh Allen, just gets a contract extension, right? 4-year extension for him. And he took $55 million, right? A year, right? And so, I mean, is he better than Brock? Statistically, maybe a little bit, I guess.
He's absolutely better than Brock.
Okay, well, has he done more than Brock?
I mean, no, but Brock's done it with his entire team.
It shouldn't matter. Like,
it does matter though, because then we're talking about
disagree
QB wins and all that.
Because Josh Allen has had players. It was just this past season he didn't have the receiving core. He had Stephon Diggs for a long time, couldn't get anywhere, couldn't beat Kansas City. Let's just keep it a buck. Like, they literally
can the 49ers.
But I'm just talking about being in that division, being in that conference. That's the team you got to beat to get to the land. At least we got to the Super Bowl. Yeah. He never been. So it's things like that you have to kind of like factor in. At least if I'm Brock's agent,
Yeah.
He got MVP, but we all know last year he won MVP, I guess, because he didn't have anybody. I guess that's the reason why he won, because his stats weren't better than the best player in the league, which was Lamar Jackson. So that's a whole nother conversation, whole nother show, but he got the MVP. So that right there definitely will separate him from the Brock Purdy money. And then he just has the tools to be better than Brock, but you got to pay him. That contract is saying, well, Brock is like, well, I've accomplished this with who, without, whatever. I need to be paid in this stratosphere. And I think that's the issue, right? That's going to be the big issue.
I could see arguments from both sides, and I can sit here and make 100%. Arguments for both sides. So at times I feel like I'm even arguing with myself in my head on like how much Brock should get paid, because I see it for both sides. And so it'll be tough, right? I think there are some good arguments to be made both sides of the aisle. But yeah, with the 49ers being tougher on negotiations, with them taking this new approach, that's where it's going to complicate things. And I saw this morning, Wayne, this tweet from Doug Clawson. He said, other teams have spent $321 million on 49ers free agents this offseason, the most money spent on a team's departing free agents in NFL history through day 4 of free agency. San Francisco has only spent $37 million on free agents, making it the largest free agent spending deficit of $284 million in NFL history by over $80 million. Like, if that doesn't tell you where the 49ers are at right now, like they are bargain shopping right now. And that seems to be the plan. Like, my thing is, Wayne, I'm cool with them going cheaper, but like, by releasing a bunch of guys, by going with this approach, you've somewhat made yourself an undesirable option for free agents to go. So let's just say, like, right now, they've only gotten like, low tier free agents, no shade to them, but they're backups, right? If the 49ers are wanting to get someone with a little more, a tier 1 type of free agent, someone who's like going to be getting multiple offers from different teams, Joey Bosa being one example of that, are they really going to ever pick 49ers over another situation? Can you see 49ers being a destination that other free agents go to and hypothetically take less money to be in San Francisco? Mac Jones, maybe he's an exception. I don't know what other offers he had, but I think for quarterbacks, still a good place to go. But I'm talking about other free agents that are maybe out there, defensive free agents. Like, it's hard to see the vision for the defense right now.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It when you when you don't have, I guess, the bait. I guess that's the word I'll use, right? Like the bait. When you don't have the bait to draw in some of these key free agents, which you're gonna have to spend money on, it does make it a little difficult for those guys, those tier one guys, to want to come out here, especially like you said, when they don't see the vision. Me personally, I was thinking that Robert Saleh was the key. And I thought my confidence in bringing back Greenlaw went higher once Robert Saleh returned. I thought that
Same.
connection would draw him back here. Let's just look at our defense, though, really quickly. Let's just look at our defense. I feel like defensively, we have tier one players at least on every level, right? So on the defensive line, you got Nick Bosa. At the linebacker position, you got Fred Warner. These are all top players. And then Demo, I'm sorry, he's top DB in the league. I don't give what anybody says. He's that guy. Yeah, he's got more to accomplish, more to prove, but people know he's a dog, and they don't really they test him, but then he backs it up, and then they stop testing him, right? Those are the three tiers. Now, where we can get better, safety, more linebacking, more defensive tackle for sure. What if the Niners really hurt themselves in doing so? I mean, you bring in Javon Hargrave. He gets the first year here. The second year he's hurt. Now you release him. What if that is like, oh, man, I don't know if I could build some type of security there. If I do go to San Francisco, I need a 1 year fully guaranteed deal.
Right. Yes.
It makes it like the Niners do stuff to me to hurt themselves. And so I don't know what's going on in free agency. Maybe they were trying to spend. Maybe like how do you not get Joey Bosa here? Like your brother literally play. Unless the brother, usually if the brothers don't really want to be together, then yeah. But that, I don't know how that doesn't happen. Regardless of how healthy he is or whatever, you would think that my brother would want to come play with my brother. Like you would think that. Maybe they did, but the money didn't talk. And so yeah, like so it makes it difficult. And when you put out, kind of the penny pinching or bargain shopping or thrift store shop, whatever you put that out there, that it's going to be like that. Maybe those players be like, nah, I'll stay away from there. They're going through something right now. I'll wait till they get back.
That's what I'm worried about. So like, while I think this strategy is needed, right? Like I do think they need to get younger. I do think they need to cut on the spending. It's a double-edged sword because free agents aren't jumping at the chance to play for you suddenly on the defensive side of the ball. And I also saw Shane Stern. I don't know if you follow him, Wayne, on Twitter. But he's got some scoops every now and again on the 49ers. And, he said the 49ers were in on Josh Uche, who signed with the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken. They were in on him. He chose the Eagles, right? And, that kind of leaves out some context. Like we don't know how much the 49ers offered in comparison, but like, again, even if they offered less, that's one side of this double-edged sword. Like the 49ers are not getting into these bidding wars. They're not winning bidding wars with some of these guys. And the second point being, if all things are equal, which we don't know, right? But if all things were equal and they got similar offers, then Josh Uche chose the defending champions over the 49ers, who wouldn't, right? So like that's what I'm saying. I think 49ers are kind of digging themselves into a little bit of a hole at some point, because you're making yourself bad, you're taking a step back. At some point, you're gonna have to overpay for someone's services to come, unless like you really cool with just being full of a bunch of backups and draftees that you bring in, first year, second year guys. They could go that route, but I'm a little worried about how they would go. They have to nail the draft, which we already knew.
Yeah, and they kind of nailed it last year, and I think they may feel like they have a nailing formula.
They got it all figured out.
I think so. They got one right, and it's probably safe to say that all the draft picks that they drafted at some point will hit a home run, depending on the way that they use them. I'm gonna flip it though, Steph. Let me give my optimism side. I'm sorry, but let me give the good part of what's going on, right? And so, okay, Yeah, we're not spending the big money in the free agency. We're not overspending the money and free agency.
And let
me put it out there like that. And I actually do like the way that the 49ers are addressing players and bringing players in here. They're getting, I don't know if you follow the sport in the way to where like I don't know if you watch basketball, like, you know, and I'm going to put it into basketball terms. You can only have 1 to 2 stars max on a 14-man team, right? Why? Because it's only one basketball. And so football's a little different, but I'm going to put it out there like this. You need role players. You need players that are playing with chips on their shoulders. You need blue chip players. You need blue collar players. You need all the other stuff. You need all the ingredients that make the cake good, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Nobody want to eat the oil, but when you mix the oil with the water and you put the sugar in, it's going to be good. You need all of that. I think the Niners are getting these types of players right now that are playing with these chips on their shoulders. I think the competition is about to be fierce. We could laugh about Jason Pinnock and Trey Brown and all these players that we're getting on these 1-year deals all we want to. We can sit there and say, yeah, Jair Brown's got a job next season. Yeah, right. They're bringing in players that are going to come in here and compete. So it's going to be may the best man win. And I'm going to be honest. I want those players out there on the football field. We got our pillars. We got the quarterback. I don't care. We got the quarterback. Whether you play on a $5.3 million deal or a $50 million deal, we got the quarterback, right? You got him a weapon. You got to figure out how you can secure George Kittle. All right. Trent Williams should be back and ready to go. So the line should just be Trent Williams back on the line makes the line go from a D+ to a B+. It's so weird. Like, I don't get how one player does it, but that's what happens. All right. So you're hoping for that. We can still upgrade on the offensive line, and that's where the draft comes in. So I like the competitive edge to where these young guys are going to come in here and compete. Last season, all we did was complain about Kyle showing favoritism to all these players, and all them players are gone. No more favoritism. Now the best man got to go out there and win the gosh dang job. And I love it. So whether it's one of these young free agents we brought in or one of these young players that we drafted, may the best player win. It doesn't mean we're going to be bad. What if we just get better because we got the better player on the football field? How many times did we scream and curse to take Devondre Campbell off the football field before he did what he did? We saw that D. Winters was better in coverage. We saw that D. Winters couldn't stay healthy. And unfortunately, we had to keep rocking out with this guy. But there was favoritism there. And so I'm just saying, like, you can look at it as if we didn't get great. That's fine, because we didn't. We didn't get better player-wise. But in the long run, we're gonna pump out some really quality content from these players, regardless if they had bad PFF grades. Like, put them in this system. See what happens.
Yeah, it's definitely a necessary thing that needed to happen. I think we've been calling for some time that Kyle needed to just stop with the favoritism. And I think, Jed kind of going with this new approach with Parag, like, kind of forced him to move on from players that he should have moved on from a year or two ago, right? And it would have been nice if the 49ers could have gradually, made some of these moves, right, over the course of the last couple years, but they didn't. So now you're stuck having to do it all at the same time, all in the same offseason, and you got to build from that, and there's going to be growing pains from that. So I think that's what we're seeing right now, the growing pains, the ugliness of it. The team's going to look bad for a bit. Players aren't going to want to go there for a bit. But yeah, I'm hopeful and excited about this draft class, and yeah, they got to nail it, like I said. So speaking of the draft, Wayne, we got 49K Draft Club coming at you.
Yes.
Favorite part. So let me get our...
And before we get into this, I need everybody out here that's rocking with Steph, the 49ers Carrot channel. Make sure you guys are sending her your love and support. Please support in everything that she's doing. Let me just explain to people out there what watching film is like. That shit is for the birds, okay? It's boring as hell. There's nothing going on but 3 views of players doing the same shit. Just imagine that, how boring it is. I mean, I got Netflix on my left eye. Literally, I got one eye looking this way. I got my other eye watching the film. I got music playing in the background. It takes a lot of time, effort, and work. The thing I love about Steph is when we come together, we come from different perspectives, and then it's really cool to see how much we agree on things and how much we disagree on things. And everybody has their own way of doing it, and that's what makes it unique. So please support Steph. She does a fabulous job at putting out this content, and I don't think anybody loves the draft and the prospects more than Steph. I'm second. She's first. So let's go.
I love the draft process, and this offseason especially has been like way funner than like last year, or more fun than last year, the year before that, because the 49ers didn't make the playoffs. Like, we did have a chance to dive into these players early, so I've been like locked in on the draft for a little longer than usual at this time of the year. But you know, we asked for your guys' suggestions for linebackers and running backs. That's what we wanted to watch this week. But we also gave a suggestion to you guys to watch. My suggestion was linebacker Kobe King, Penn State linebacker. So I'm going to play this here. Hopefully it doesn't do the same thing that it did last time. Okay, cool. So it's letting me play the video. So Kobe King, what I like about Kobe King, Wayne, you know, you mentioned sometimes tape is boring. Like, watching tape can be boring. What I like, Wayne, is when a prospect is so good that it's not boring, because they're flying all over the place. They're making something happen. Like, they're active, right? So Kobe King, for me, is one of those players. Like, he's an instinctual Mike. He's a team captain. He has a very aggressive play style. He works really well through traffic. Like, he's one of, I think, the best block shedders of this class as far as the linebackers go. That is a very underrated skill, because if you get stymied by the first block that you get, you're always going to get blocked. But like, if you're going to let that stop you, to me, I don't want that. I want someone who's looking straight through their blocker and always keeps their eyes on the ball carrier and finds a way to get to him. So that's Kobe King for me. I think he's pretty underrated. He'll probably go, I don't know, maybe early day 3, late day 2. I have no idea. But I think he kind of fits what the 49ers look for in linebackers.
Yeah, man, like, his ability to play the mic is official. And I mean, I guess my questions about him, how will he play on the weak side? I mean, strong side, I think he'll be fine. I think the way he breaks down, diagnose plays, sheds blocks, he has some of the greatest freaking hands in football. When I mean hands from a linebacker, is using them hands to shed the blocks, right? Like, that's what he does. Like, he does it at an alarming rate, and he does it very well. And he plays really downhill. Like, he's not just putting his head down into the ground. He's putting his head down into the shoulder pads and getting those guys down there on the ground. So the missed tackles aren't there, right? We saw a lot of that. He does look like a San Francisco 49er. I see him right now not playing the mic, which is pretty cool. Looks like he's playing a little bit out there on the weak side, however you choose to want to look at it. Kobe King has always been one of those guys I've been mock drafting to the 49ers, probably in rounds 4, round 5 if you need a linebacker. I don't think he's going to go early at all. I don't think he's done enough to bump up. And the linebacking position is a little weird, right? Like, linebackers there'll be probably 3 or 4 that get drafted relatively in the first 3 rounds, and then after that there'll probably be a stop on them. And so that's a good place to get a guy like Kobe King. Real good guy.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely like him. And I think there's a lot of underrated linebackers in this class, which makes me excited, because I feel like you'll end up getting some pretty good value. And we're definitely going to talk about some good value guys in the show today for the draft club. So you, Wayne, wanted people to watch. Oh, no, wait, this is not working. Wanted people to watch a running back. Let me refresh this real quick. You wanted people to watch Caleb Johnson. So tell us about Caleb Johnson and why you wanted people to watch.
Yeah, man, Caleb is, to me, like the all-package linebacker, right? And so you look at a guy like Jordan Mason, and you know, second-round tender for Jordan Mason this year. When you look at a Jordan Mason type running back, that's Caleb Johnson, just with a little bit more burst, right? A little bit more burst, in my opinion. A little bit more speed, a little bit more burst. I know his 40 time was relatively slow. I know he didn't test well at the NFL Combine, but now we watch tape. We
Yes.
watch film and we see what does this be like when he gets to that second level? How does he make guys miss? Can he catch out of the backfield? I mean, the kid is, to me, phenomenal. I mean, his explosive runs are there, and we're not talking just 10 plus yards. We're talking 15 plus yard runs, right? And so they're there, and the kid has it. And you know what I like about him the most? I think it's more his patience.
Yes.
When I think about running backs, I haven't seen a running back like Le'Veon Bell since Le'Veon Bell. And I'm not comparing him to Le'Veon Bell, but the patience, the way he allows the hole to develop, like he has a gift for it. And so, Aston Jeanty, this guy, they allow these holes to kind of like open up because they know they can kick that gear up once that hole is set. They're not forcing themselves into the hole. They're not running into the back of their offensive linemen. They're allowing it to develop, and that's something that Caleb Johnson does very well. And from that, you get explosive plays.
I also see good contact balance from him, and like the first hit, not really going to get him, and you better get him with the right angle if you want to bring him down.
Bingo.
One thing I like to see from running backs, and I don't know if this has a name, but it's just something I noticed. Like when the bottom half of their body, like their legs, almost feel like it can move independently from the top half. Like the way they like move their hips around independent from, their chest and all that. I like to see that. Like it just shows like flexibility, the ability to move. I don't know if that has a name, Wayne, but
no,
I like to see that.
You talked about, you called it contact, the balance. Like it's that's why I think Aston Jeanty is probably the most dangerous of the of the running backs, right? Because he's already short. He's probably 5'7", 5'8", so he's around my height, right? And then so it's tough. How do you get him if he's that strong in the lower half of his body? And then the top half of his body is going one way, and the lower half is like, nah, you can't get me. And so they break tackles very easily. And that comes from squats and things like that. So he's a bigger back, but I just like Caleb Johnson. He's my favorite back. Like him and Amarion Hampton, nobody's talking about him. I feel like those two backs are gonna go probably first round, second round.
Oh yeah, they'll be second round guys for sure. Hampton as well. So if you guys haven't watched Caleb Johnson, definitely check him out. Love him on the Niners, but I just don't think the 49ers will be looking to get a running back that early. Now let's talk about some of the guys that you guys suggested. And we're gonna try to breeze through these because I do have to go in like 20 minutes. But we'll start off with Bashal Tutin from Virginia Tech. Now, the things that I noticed from Bashal, he's pretty good at everything. Like, and I'll say this, like Virginia Tech has a mobile quarterback, so they do a lot of like option stuff. To me, like honestly, it kind of takes away from his opportunities a bit, but I think that's probably why he's a pretty good pass blocker as well. Like in pass pro, he's very good. NFL teams are going to love that about him. And it always feels like he's capable of hitting the big one, right? So I love to see that from him. And there's the pass catching ability. That's what I'm saying. Like he's good at everything. Pass pro, running. Like you see him here, breaking away. Okay, he got a little fumble there, but he's a pretty good back. Well-rounded.
Love this kid. Speed is there. The burst is there. Pass blocking is there. Like everything about this kid screams what the 49ers want. They definitely interviewed him at the NFL Combine right before they left, right before John Lynch left. I think this was the last interviewee that we were able to get that was recorded. And you could just see him. I mean, you could use him in pretty much every set. He doesn't have to come off the football field, and I think that's what's most important. Like, is he a 3-down back? Does he need to come off the football? No, he doesn't, because he can pass protect. Like some of these other backs we're talking about may struggle a little bit in pass protection, so they're more like scat backs, right? They come in, they change pace back. That's what he's not a change of pace back. He's a all down, keep him in the football field at all times, which is many of the reason why Christian McCaffrey doesn't like to come off the football field. And then the moment you take him off the football field, things kind of get a little haywire, because the same, it's not about the flow of the running back, it's about what you're trying to do to deceive the defense and things like that. He would keep the deception out there, because are you going to cover him out in the backfield? How are you going to block him? How are you going to get him down to the ground? Like this is a guy that I really started to fall in love with just by watching his film. Didn't watch much of Virginia Tech, but watching his film, I'm like, oh my, oh my, oh my.
Yeah, he's very well rounded, and that's definitely something that I think teams are going to like about him. So definitely check him out if you haven't yet. Now, Dylan Sampson, I forgot, was that going to be you or me? Dylan Sampson.
I think this was the guy that I just decided to choose, but we could both talk about him. You want to talk about explosive plays? I mean, that's something that he does. Wasn't necessarily. I think my thing with him is he was underutilized. I don't want to say that he's not a pass catcher, but they didn't do much of that with their running backs, and so we'll never know. Like, he did have 2 touchdowns receiving, and like 140 something yards receiving. But I think my thing about him is his ability to make people miss tackles. Now, his biggest issue is pass pro, right? And so, on certain downs, he's going to have to come off the football field. So he's a weapon, and he'll have to be removed because you can't have him in on those passing downs because he's probably going to get ran over. He's a little guy, all right? So that's my only gripe about him. Other than that, he's a phenomenal running back, and there's a possibility that he might even be better than his former teammate Jalen Wright that got drafted by the Miami Dolphins last year. The speed is there. His low to contact, his balance is there. Like, everything about him screams running back. The question is, will he be durable enough to take the pounding, and can he pass pro? I think those are my biggest question marks.
Yeah, his change of direction is obviously nice. The contact balance. I actually thought for pass protection, obviously he is smaller, but he seemed like a willing blocker, which is usually a good sign.
I love it.
Like, he's looking for work, right? And he keeps his head on a swivel. I don't know if he could take a guy on his own. Like, usually he's kind of just helping out a tackle with someone who's trying to get through. But the effort is there. He's not just, standing there. So I did like that. He moves so smooth. He obviously impressed at his pro day last week. And, kind of like we were saying about Caleb Johnson, like, he's a very patient runner. I think he waits for his blocks. And when he finds that hole, like, he's going fast. He had the 4.4240 at his pro day last week. And so I also took this note down, Wayne, that, I didn't see him involved in the pass game much. And, I just didn't know if that was just their offense in general.
That's their offense. They're spread out type of offense. And for some reason, like, they line their wide receivers out to, like, damn near the sidelines, and then they put the back in the backfield. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't think the running backs were a focal point of the pass receiving game, in my opinion.
That's a shame. I feel like that may be a little disservice to him, but would love to see more of that from his game. And pretty solid back. I wouldn't say he's like he'd be my favorite. I think this is like a really strong crop of running backs. And
the production is there, though. I like. It's hard to pick a fave because we don't.
I wouldn't put him at the top. I'll just say that.
Okay,
like, he's solid. He's solid.
That's
but like,
fair.
There's so many other.
He just got to get his weight up for me. Like 200 pounds, running the ball, pounding it like that. It's not gonna get it done. Put on 10, 15 pounds, and then we talking.
For sure. All right. So we got next Chris Paul Pooh Jr. Out of Ole Miss. Excellent nickname for him, but I do like Chris Paul. Like, we're talking about linebackers who could definitely feel like a fit for the 49ers. He is most definitely one of those guys for me. Like, he's, and let me just turn this on.
He screams Azeez Al-Shaair. I don't know if you remember much about that. Just his ability to diagnose plays, tackle, cover. I think the Niners have a type. Like, Johnny Holland has a type. You got to be able to do all three. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Johnny Holland wants Mike linebackers that can play on the weak side and the strong side, right? He wants the guys that can get down there, fire, tackle on the strong side. He wants the guys that can drop back and pass coverage with speed on the weak side. And then he needs his Mike linebacker, and he can do it all. I really, Miss, man, just draft a whole goddamn team. Defense, whole defense, and the offense. The hell, they got receivers too.
That's just the whole SEC, though.
Oh, good point. Good point.
That's
Good
the
point.
whole SEC. Like they got dogs on defense, man,
Good
all
point.
across, all over the place. But yeah, he's an excellent run defender, as you see in most of these clips. Like he's coming downhill once he diagnoses a play. Like he does not hesitate. He's a very sure tackler. He's got the sideline to sideline speed that you want. And I thought he was great in coverage as well. Like when he had to drop back, he did meet with the 49ers at the Shrine Bowl. So definitely someone who's on their radar, and you can see why. Like I definitely feel like he'd fit in with what the 49ers want to do.
Couldn't agree more, Steph. There's a lot of linebackers that I like. I feel like he would be second to third round pick for the San Francisco 49ers if they decided to go linebacker. But really loved his game, really loved his film, loved the way he diagnosed plays, breaks down. You talked about the sideline to sideline speed. That's very important. As far as straight line speed, he's slow, but he's not running a straight line. So sideline speed, very important.
Absolutely. All right, so and
instincts.
More clips.
Yeah.
Instincts for sure. Next linebacker, Demetrius Knight. You want to start this off?
Yeah, man. First of all, great young gentleman, right? He's a father. Great guy. Met with him at the Senior Bowl. Talked to him. He talked about him playing for a team like the 49ers. He absolutely loved it. Now, he's been a 6-year guy. He's been in the league, been in college football for a while. Played 3 seasons at Georgia Tech. All right, 3 seasons at Georgia Tech. He was dismissed that 3rd season after the 4th game. Then he did 1 year with the Charlotte 49ers, and then he finished out his career at South Carolina. So he's a little older. So, like, I don't know how people feel about drafting older players. You know, some people feel that
he's experienced.
Thank you. That's the word. That's the word. Experienced. That's the word.
Being a little older.
Man, listen. Let me just read you his stats: 64 tackles, 12 pressures, an interception, a PBU, 2 forced fumbles, and 29 run stops. I mean, the Niners literally can redraft. I would say an Aziz Al-Shaair and a Patrick Willis type linebacker. You want to talk about somebody that hits? This is the guy. He's a disruptor. Like that. That's what he does.
He will have quarterbacks in hell. Like if you hold on to the ball too long and you're kind of veering off to the left or the right, he will come after you. Like he will not hesitate.
Yep, and he has the speed, right? So he has that type of speed. My only gripe is the lateral speed. Like, damn. I wanted to see him run the shuttle. I wanted to see him run the 3. I need to see the lateral speed, right? Can he get sideline to sideline just as fast as he can run in a straight line? I don't see that on the film, but I really like this kid. I really do like this kid. I feel like he hits like Patrick Willis. He can cover like Dre Greenlaw. Like, this is a guy that I really. But the only thing is, he's gonna go early 2nd round. Like,
I think so too.
Yeah, like
sure.
he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like my notes on him: great closing speed. I put that he has a quick back pedal. So like the things you're talking about like maybe some of his agility testing. It's not really what you see on tape though. So like sometimes for some prospects it's different, one or the other. You definitely always want to pay attention to the tape. So I think he has a pretty good back pedal that puts him in good position for coverage.
Look at the way he diagnosed the plays from runs to passes. That's the correct. That's the key.
He's so fast at that. And again, if he has that open lane, like he is going to be the fastest guy on the field because like target acquired, he's coming after you. So yeah, definitely like his game. Probably a long shot to be a Niner unless the 49ers, do address linebacker early, which they could, that there's a big need. They're big shoes they need to fill. So it's definitely possible. But we'll just have to see. So next up, we got Ohio State, Quinshon Judkins. So this one's an interesting one for me. I didn't really get to watch too much of him ahead of this show. So to be fair, like
I watched them all season though.
True, because of Ohio State. So
just had to. They were on TV. So listen. So he's the thunder back, right? He's the thunder. Like he's a big back. You see, he's 6 foot. He's 220. He's probably one of the most athletic running backs in coming out in the draft, and he's power. Like power. Does he have the speed to get to the outside? Does he fit the 49ers? Yeah. Like if you want somebody like we like Jordan Mason because he runs hard. This is the guy that runs hard, right? Like this is the guy that's going to run hard. The big playability is there. if you miss he forces a lot of missed tackles, not from being elusive, just having a quick move and power, right? You got to tackle him. You're going to need guys that can actually tackle, because if not, if you miss the tackle, I don't know where he gets the extra burst of speed, but it comes and it's a wrap. They had a thunder and lightning combination over at Ohio State with him and Travion Henderson, but he was the guy that you wanted on the football field every single down, right? Like, because pass protection is there, bigger back, running is there, and he's just a thunder. He's literally just thunder. Transfer. Where did he transfer from? Was it?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
So I feel like I've seen people try to compare him to Jahmyr Gibbs, and I don't know
if he has the quick twitch.
And I don't think Gibbs is that big, so I don't know.
Yeah, he looks like him a little bit, but I don't know if he fits that
maybe that's what
style of running.
For people to make comparisons to prospects, all you have to do is like semi look like them, like every white slot receiver is Cooper Kupp, and
yeah.
Edelman.
Before it was Edelman and before it was Welker, right?
Yeah,
think about the guys we've compared. Oh, Braxton Berrios, see, that's Edelman. That's Walker. Nope, it's not Welker. Nope, not the same.
Oh man. No, but I think there's definitely things to like about Judkins. You see him here, pass protection. Man, he's pushing him out the club.
Yo, I'm in time to tell you, Stephanie, he's a problem. He's a problem.
He's a problem.
I think he had his worst game. No cap against Michigan. Worst game. They couldn't run the ball. Worst game. Other than that, dude was phenomenal. And he split. And he split. He was splitting reps.
So in this clip, this guy who's Tommy K NFL Draft on Twitter compared him to Javonte Williams. I could see that.
Okay, now we're talking. We're talking.
I think in the
but with he has a better burst than Javonte Williams. He's just a more skilled runner. I think his vision is way better.
Look at this right here.
Look at the speed.
Look at him go.
Whoa. But what did he do? Didn't I say if you arm tackle him, you're stupid? Like, you can't arm tackle this guy. He's a shoulder boulder. Listen, and he got thighs, okay?
Yeah.
He's got the thighs. Boom. Don't you dive at him.
He's gone.
Listen, we need him on the 49ers, because if not, we're going to miss all the tackles. Like, literally.
Like, a guy that big being that, like, fast is, kind of crazy. And strong, obviously, too. That pays off for him. So, like it. I do like it. All right, next one here. Ted-Eye. Is it Ted-Eye or Teddy? Guys, help us out in the chat.
Yeah, please help us out.
I'm going to say Ted-Eye because that's how it's spelled. Buchanan out of Cal, local dude. So here's what I like about him. Like, Wayne, like you're not going to see the same speed as I think you would see from the other linebackers that they show on tape. Although he did run a 4.640.
Yes, he
which
did.
is about the same that, Fred Warner ran. He had a 40-inch vert. That was best of all linebackers at the combine. His RES score was 9.62. I'll say this, like, he's a very sound defender. Like, it just always feels like he knows what he's doing. He's in control, and he looks the part. He has very quick recognition, and I think he's great in coverage. Like, he had 8 career picks, 14 pass breakups, and he was a standout at the Shrine Bowl as well. In fact, I got a clip here of him at the Shrine Bowl. He's number 44 in this one. Look at how quickly he's able to recognize that this was going to be a pass, and he immediately, flips his hips and makes that turn there before the ball even comes out of the quarterback's hand. Like, he's already like getting himself into position. It's an incomplete. So like, this is just an example of just some of the things that he could do.
Yeah, man, he looks like I haven't watched much on Teddy B. That's what Ted IB. But I can tell you right now, he looks the part. Just looking at these little clips, man, he looks the freaking part. It looks like he's a playmaker out there. And, the Niners just need firing up, smart football players. People don't forget, the linebackers got to be the smartest players on the field on the defensive side. Why? Because they have to do 2 jobs. They have to be able to recognize a run from a pass after the snap. Pre-snap is one thing, but once that ball is snapped, they have to be able to recognize it. And not only recognize it, Steph, then they got to react to it. And from looking at this, just one clip from the East West Shrine Bowl at this practice right here. Look at the recognition. Oh, drop back Coon.
So
he gets in the way of the throwing lane to make that pass incomplete. So he helped out his DBs. That was one of the biggest issues from our linebacking core last year. They didn't help the defensive backs out at all. They were getting burnt. Literally. Fred Warner overcompensating because he's trying to play weak side and middle linebacker. And a lot of teams now coming out with 3 wide receiver sets, 11 personnel. A lot of teams because they don't have the 2 tight end. They don't have the 12 personnel like a lot of teams. Some teams have that, some teams don't. That's a luxury. A lot of teams come out on 11 personnel. They got 3 wide receiver sets. You're going to be in nickel defense. I need a person on the football field that has the recognition as a linebacker to know where to be.
For sure. And man, I got to say, like, you guys gave us a lot of recommendations for running backs, especially. It was so hard to pick, like, which ones to focus on. DJ Giddens was one that, was mentioned a couple of times. So definitely open to watching some of these other guys as well that you're throwing in here in the chat.
You know what you could do for the next time? And it's just something extra. And you don't have to do it live. You could do it. You could get the names, and then you put them on the spin the wheel. And then let the wheel decide who we rock out with.
I like that, Wayne. I like that a lot. All right, so we're going to open it up. I also like to open it up to Twitter too, so I'll tweet it out. You guys put some names on there as well. And yeah, we'll go with that. And it could be any position this week. I'm open to watching whatever.
Yeah, I'm down for whatever too. It makes us do our homework. Which is what I like. I can't believe I like to do homework, right? I can't believe I'm saying this stuff at 43 years old that I'm ready to do homework. but when it comes to these prospects, the reason why Steph and I are at this Senior Bowl every single year and why we choose to only go, is because we literally it's like being in like an arcade candy store type situation. We get to watch all these kids play in an all-star game, and I think that's what's really special, right?
There's always so many great players to watch, and there's so many players to watch, so little time. So it's like I need your guys' help to prioritize which ones I should be watching. So thank you guys so much. Really appreciate all the suggestions. We're going to be back next week for another 49K Draft Club, talking about more 49ers moves, hopefully. And appreciate all you guys that tuned in. You kept the live chat popping. Some of you beefing in the comments.
I know, man. What's the deal? Come on, y'all.
It's crazy. It's crazy out here. But make sure you like that video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Not just my channel, but Wayne's as well. Follow us on Twitter as well. But for now, folks, have a good rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. Peace.